What if, the love of Milim and Rimuru? Milim started feeling strange whenever she was close to Rimuru. She understood that what she was feeling was love, but she had no idea how to act on it. Little did she know, Rimuru felt the exact same way about her. Will they be able to be together despite the many obstacles in their path? This is a Milim and Rimuru romance story with action to make the journey even more interesting. Written by Bengrem 1234. Chapter 12, Confession of Love. Milim was done charging her attacks and looked at Rimuru. Dragon Buster! She fired it at Rimuru with tremendous speed and power. The attack was, in one word, massive. It was made up of multiple light beams of energy that were generating more power as they traveled. Milim had used a much weaker version of this attack to one-shot a Demon Lord-level monster. This time, she put more power into the attack to make it stronger, though she believed that Rimuru could counter the attack quite easily. This was why she was using it as a distraction while readying her countermove. Rimuru stood there as the attack impacted him. The blast caused a tremendous explosion that shook the entire place. Even those outside the barrier were affected by the shockwave generated from the attack. The Demon Lords were shaken from their seats by the explosion. This is insane. I knew that Milim was a catastrophic monster, but this is on another level. That attack will definitely kill me if she ever shoots it at me. Seriously, I am glad I am not her opponent right now, Dino thought to himself, with worry written all over his face. Ramiris looked very worried for Rimuru's safety. I hope Rimuru is okay. That attack is very powerful. It is thanks to Guy's barrier that we were able to withstand this attack with just the shockwave hitting us. Can Rimuru survive this? So this is the level of destruction a catastrophic being could generate. Even I would be worried if that attack was shot at me, Leon thought to himself while observing. Luminous had a surprised look on her face. To think that this is not even close to her full power is downright insane. Milim Nova! What a monster! Truly a catastrophic being. She really deserves the title of Destroyer. Guy had an annoyed look on his face. That idiot! Always going overboard. Does she not even consider that people are here and could get hurt from that attack? Velzard laughed. To tell you the truth, Guy, I am more interested in seeing what that slime will do next. Oh? Do you think that attack will have no effect on him? Guy asked her. Well, it is better if you see for yourself than me telling you, was her answer as she continued to watch the fight. As the explosion died down, the smoke cleared to reveal Rimuru still standing in the exact same position as he was before the attack impacted. All the Demon Lords, except for Velzard, had gobsmacked expressions. Rimuru took that powerful attack head-on without a single scratch on him. This solidified that he is truly a catastrophic being. Rimuru looked at himself and couldn't find a single scratch. He smiled to himself. At the moment, Rimuru had multiple barriers around him at all times. And with his ascension to a true dragon, the barriers had all been strengthened to become an absolute defense barrier. He wanted to test it against a catastrophic level attack, and this was a good time for him. He looked and saw Milim already coming toward him with her sword raised to cut him. Rimuru dropped his sword and left himself completely open for Milim to attack. Milim saw this and immediately stopped her sword inches from his face. She looked at him with cold eyes. Why did you drop your sword? Are you looking down on me, Rimuru? Rimuru shook his head. I just can't keep doing this. Fighting you, even if it is just acting, is tearing me up inside. Milim slowly lowered her sword and looked at Rimuru with a shocked expression. What do you mean? Rimuru, instead of answering her, went up to her and hugged her gently, burying her face in his chest. I am so glad that you are all right, Milim. When I thought that Clayman might have been controlling you, it tore me apart. To see him slap you in front of me was one of the worst experiences of my new life. Milim was speechless. Here she was, hugging the man of her dreams, and he was hugging her back. She was so happy hearing that he was worried for her. It made her smile that someone, after all these years, genuinely cared for her well-being. She could not explain the sheer happiness she was feeling right now. Rimuru released her from the hug and looked her in the eyes. Milim. For a long time, I never had a girlfriend before. All my life, I tried to find someone to love, but it never worked out for me. I guess girls just didn't find me attractive. I tried to find someone to date, but it never worked. After I was reincarnated, I was suddenly surrounded by people who genuinely cared for me. My people all love me, and I love them all back, but not as much as I love you, Milim. Rimuru, you don't have to. Milim tried to say, but Rimuru placed a finger on her lips. Please let me finish, Milim. She slowly nodded, and he removed his finger from her lips and continued. You mean the world to me. When we first met, I thought that you were scary. But after spending time with you, I was really intrigued. You found everything you did fun, and you always smile and have this cheerful look on your face. I fell in love with that smile of yours. When you asked me if I am scared of what will happen if I lose my people, I didn't understand what you meant at the time. But after losing my people to Falmouth, I understood. You lost someone dear to you, and that is why you keep people at a distance. You don't want to get too attached because of the fear that you might one day lose them. You even kept me at a distance. No. You are wrong. I didn't mean to keep my feelings from you. I have never had this kind of feeling for anyone before except for you. You changed my world, Rimuru. You showed me things in this world that I never knew existed. I started loving this world again thanks to you. I was just afraid that you might not like me the way I like you. And that frightened me. If you were to hate me, I would have nothing left to live for. Losing you is the one thing that frightens me the most, and I felt that if I got closer to you, then people would start targeting you. I can't lose you to anyone, because I truly, truly love you, Rimuru Tempest, with all my heart, Milim told him, pouring out her entire feelings. Rimuru was shocked at first, then he smiled a gentle smile at Milim. I love you too, Milim Nova. I promise myself that I will never let you be alone ever again. All the pain you felt, the loneliness that you carry, the false smile that you show to people in order to hide your pain, and the tears you shed for your loved ones. I promise to carry it all for you, and to make you smile a real and genuine smile from now until the end of time. I will make sure that you are happy as long as I draw breath, because I love you. Milim was crying after hearing Rimuru's true feelings for her. She was deeply touched that he felt this way for her. Really? Do you really mean it? I can be a handful, you know. I am not that smart, nor am I that pretty. I don't even know how to cook. I will only be a burden to you. I'm a klutz who only knows how to fight. I'm nothing special. I am. Milim was doubting herself, but before she could continue, she felt soft lips press against her own. Rimuru silenced her with a kiss. Milim could not believe that she lost her first kiss to Rimuru. She was not upset, rather, she was incredibly happy about it. She closed her eyes and kissed him back with passion, and both of them stayed like that, enjoying each other's presence. Rimuru broke the kiss and looked at Milim, who still had her eyes closed. Milim, Rimuru called her name, and she slowly opened her eyes, looking at him. Rimuru lost his breath for a moment before he continued. I don't care if you are not perfect. No one is. I just want to love and care for you as much as I can. Whenever you are in trouble, rely on me. If you are confused, ask me and I will assist you. You don't have to care about your looks, because to me, you are always my diamond in the shining stars. Whatever you don't know, I'll teach it to you. Just promise that you will always be by my side. Milim could not stop the tears falling from her eyes. She stretched out her hands and pulled Rimuru's face down for another kiss. She deepened the kiss to convey all the love she had for him. Rimuru was surprised that Milim was the one who kissed him this time, but he did not stop. He kissed her back with passion, and for a while, they just kept kissing. After some minutes, they both broke the kiss and looked each other in the eyes. Could you please wait for me for a moment? I still have to pay Clayman back for everything he has done to us, Rimuru whispered to her. Milim hugged him and whispered, I will be waiting for you. Rimuru released himself from her hug and gave her one last peck before leaving to join Shun and Ronga. Milim stood where she was, watching Rimuru leave with a smile on her face. She was happy that the person she loved more than anything returned her feelings. She couldn't wait for him to come back. Rimuru saw that Shun was clashing with Clayman. She was wielding her sword while Clayman was wearing a claw weapon made of iron. Shun was dominating the fight, with Clayman trying everything he had to hurt her, but she simply swung her giant sword to cancel his attacks. From what Rimuru could see, Clayman had multiple wounds all over his body, and Shun looked a little dirty with multiple tears in her suit, but overall she looked okay. It looked like she had gotten tremendously stronger. Shun. I will take over from here, Rimuru said as he walked into the barrier. Shun looked at Rimuru and smiled. Lord Rimuru. I was just about to finish him up. Don't worry about it, I will take care of it, Rimuru said to her. Shun nodded her head and stepped back to allow Rimuru to finish Clayman. Rimuru stood in front of the panting Clayman, who had many serious wounds on his body. Let's finish this, Clayman. I will make you pay for everything you have done. Clayman saw Rimuru and began to plan his escape, but Rimuru's next words stopped him completely. Just so you know, your plan of transferring your soul to another body after I kill you has been nullified. I made this barrier specifically with that power in mind. Try everything you like, but it will fail. The moment you made me an enemy, your fate was sealed, Rimuru said to him in a calm tone while drawing his sword and releasing a small bit of his aura. Clayman at that moment knew that he had messed with the wrong being, and it was too late to take back everything he did. Chapter 13, Death of Clayman and His Schemes. Clayman was looking at Rimuru with fear written all over his face. He didn't know what to do. Earlier, he was fighting that female ogre with everything he had and couldn't so much as scratch her. He was confident in his powers as an awakened demon lord and was certain that he could beat most of the demon lords here in a one-on-one fight. Yet, he couldn't hurt the ogre. Her sword cut and nullified everything he dished out, and if the sword cut him, his regeneration stopped responding. She was faster than him, despite his specialization in long-range attacks. It was no surprise that he was helpless against her. And now, her master, who has somehow become a true dragon, was standing before him. He had kept an eye on Rimuru's fight against Milim and could say that he stood no chance at all against him. Rimuru had sealed all means of escape. Judging from the look on his face, Rimuru didn't plan to finish him off with just one strike. He probably wanted him to suffer humiliation before killing him. There was absolutely nothing he could do against this monster. The other demon lords had shocked expressions as they watched the fight progress. Seriously? That subordinate of Rimuru is terrifyingly strong. She made Clayman look like a baby, Dino said with a sigh. Indeed she is. Her power may be smaller than Clayman's, but her skills are nothing to scoff at. She outclassed Clayman in skills and utility, de Gruel said. She is strong, yeah, but I'm more interested in the relationship between Rimuru and Milim. It seems that they are lovers, Leon said. Guy sighed. Just great. More annoying headaches for me. Don't say that, Guy. I am quite happy to see my niece finally found someone to take care of her. I knew that Rimuru would be special the moment I met him, Velzad said to Guy. Either way, this fight is over. Clayman is finished, Valentine said. Damn that Milim. To think she would find a lover before I did. If only I had my true form back, then I wouldn't be worried because I am beautiful. Now though, she is going to brag and make fun of my single life to my face. This is not good at all, Ramiris said to herself. Guy, who was by her side, heard what she said but decided to ignore it. If he got involved, it would only cause more problems for him. Rimuru stood in front of Clayman and was about to attack when Ronga contacted him in his mind. Master. What is it, Ronga? Rimuru answered. I have run into a problem that will require your presence, Ronga said. What is it? Is the fox too strong for you? Rimuru asked, confused. No, my lord, but I do not know how to proceed, Ronga responded. I am coming, Rimuru thought. He then turned to Shun. Shun, make sure that Clayman does not move from that spot until I return. Shun nodded, but before she could move, Clayman raised his hand in the air and released a purple mist. Immediately, the fox that was with Ronga rushed to Clayman and stood by his side. Ronga came to Rimuru's side and bowed. Forgive me, master. I did not know what to do. Rimuru looked at him and wondered what he was talking about. Answer. It seems that Clayman is using bind magic to force the baby fox to do as he wishes against her will. I see. So Clayman is forcing her to do his wishes, and that is why Ronga didn't want to attack her. Correct. After analyzing everyone in this room, the same type of magic has been detected on the individual known as Demon Lord Fry. Rimuru was shocked. That would explain why Fry is helping Clayman. Does that mean he is controlling her will? No. The magic used on Demon Lord Fry is known as soul-binding magic. This allows Clayman to have the power to kill Demon Lord Fry with a single thought if he so chooses, regardless of the distance. Rimuru got angry after hearing that. Sile! Can you cancel the spell? It has been cancelled, my lord. Wait! That quickly? Wow, Sile, you work fast. Rimuru thought with a smile. Of course, master. I live only to see my beloved master's wishes fulfilled. I'm counting on you in all our future battles, Sile, Rimuru thought before he looked at Ronga, who still had his head bowed. Rimuru touched Ronga's head, which made him look up. Don't worry about anything. Leave the rest to me. I will save her and free her from Clayman's curse. Go and stay with Shun until I am done. Yes, master. As you wish. Ronga happily ran to Shun's side and stood. Rimuru then faced Clayman with an unreadable expression. Clayman needed a distraction, which was why he summoned back his fox. If the fox could buy him some time, he could use that time to try and break the barrier surrounding them with his full strength. Before he could order the fox to engage, Rimuru appeared in front of him and kicked him in the face with enough force to send him crashing into the wall of the barrier. Rimuru now stood next to the fox and looked at it. The fox had a terrified look on its face when its eyes met Rimuru's. Rimuru placed his hand on its head, and immediately, the binding Clayman was using to restrict her movements and actions disappeared. The fox shrunk down to its child form and fell unconscious on the floor. Rimuru picked her up and walked back to Shun and Ronga, handing the fox to Shun. Look after her, was all he said before returning to where Clayman was. I will, Lord Rimuru, Shun responded, watching Rimuru leave. Rimuru approached Clayman, who was still rolling on the floor in agony from his kick. That was to be expected, because he had used thought acceleration on Clayman when he kicked him. The kick may have happened in seconds, but Clayman was feeling that kick for what felt like many years in his mind. This was all thanks to Rimuru's thought acceleration. Rimuru looked at the still agonizing Clayman with a cold gaze. I really want to kill you so bad right now, but even I know that all the evil schemes you were planning could not have been planned by you alone. So tell me, Clayman, who are you working with? Clayman weakly stood up from the floor when Rimuru cancelled the thought acceleration. He looked at Rimuru with anger. You lowly slime. How dare you do that too? He didn't finish because Rimuru cut off his left arm with his sword with such speed that only the high demon lords like Guy and Milim could see it. Clayman shouted in agony at the loss of his arm. The pain was intensified by thought acceleration, making it worse than hell for him. Wrong answer. If you answer this question wrong again, you will lose more than just an arm. Who are you working with? Rimuru coldly asked him. Clayman clutched his bleeding arm with his right hand and glared at Rimuru. Even if I die today, betraying my comrades is the last thing I will do. Just then, Rimuru received a message from Sue and his men, who were fighting Clayman's army. Rimuru looked disgusted by what he saw in his mind. His men reported that the mission was a success, but Sue informed him about a crystal recording they found in Clayman's mansion. The video detailed most of the things that Clayman did to Fry and her people. Rimuru looked at Clayman with newfound rage. "You disgusting freak. So this is what you have been doing to Demon Lord Fry. I can't believe that a monster like you exists. Not only are you working with those clowns, you also did all those unspeakable things to Demon Lord Fry." Clayman looked shocked. "How did you know that?" "My men told me just now after defeating all your forces." "Did you really think you could get away with all that you have done? And for your information, I have broken the spell that you used on Fry. She is no longer your puppet, and I have severed your link with the spell that you placed in her city." "Clayman, you are finished," Rimuru said to him, standing straight and placing his sword on his shoulder, displaying his aura for all to see. Fry began to cry after hearing what Rimuru said. After so many years of pain and agony, she was finally free. This man had appeared and broken the shackles that bound her and her people. Words could not express how happy she was at that moment. The other demon lords looked at her in understanding. They weren't idiots. They understood what Clayman had been doing to Fry from hearing what Rimuru said. Luminous Valentine, in particular, looked extremely pissed off. "If Rimuru were not killing him, I would have done it myself. That detestable pig," Luminous thought in anger. Milim, who was standing outside Rimuru's barrier, had a smile on her face. "I believed in him. I knew that if anyone could help Fry, then my beloved Rimuru would be the one. Show them, Rimuru. Show them all that you stand on the same plane as the strongest in this world. You are my beloved, and I will never let anyone get between us." Clayman looked at Rimuru in fear. He couldn't believe what he was told. The summary of everything was that he had lost. He had nothing left to fight with anymore. This was the end for him. Clayman stood up and weakly removed his shirt with his right arm. Some type of rune was drawn all over his body. The rune began to glow with a very bright light. Rimuru had a shocked look after seeing the rune glowing. He had no idea what it did, but he knew that it would be trouble. Warning. The individual known as Clayman is planning a nuclear self-destruct spell. What? That is bad. Will it kill me? Rimuru thought. Negative. The nuclear explosion will not kill Master. However, several individuals in this Walpurgis will be killed by it. This spell was designed to hurt both the physical and spiritual bodies of anyone it hits. How do we stop it, Sile? Rimuru asked. The demon lords were surprised by the level of mana that Clayman was generating all of a sudden. This is bad, guys. This just got out of hand. Dino shouted in a panic. What is going on? What is Clayman trying to do? Leon shouted while standing up. It looks like Clayman is planning to self-destruct with a nuclear spell. Things will end terribly if that thing explodes, Guy said with worry in his tone. Not for himself, but for the other demon lords. Every demon lord there knew that the situation was serious if Guy was worried. They all stood up from their seats and faced Guy. What do we do, Guy? Valentine asked. Everybody here will have to combine their powers to create a multiple barrier that will weaken the impact of the explosion. The problem with this spell is that it attacks both the spiritual and physical body. It could easily bypass any barrier due to its nature being a spiritual attack, but with multiple barriers created by all the demon lords, we might just slow it down enough to weaken it, Guy explained to everyone. They all nodded after hearing what Guy said. If that is the case, I won't be needing this mask anymore, the man wearing a lion mask said, removing his mask to reveal that he was indeed Carrion. Every demon lord was surprised, but they knew that now was not the time for questions. They instead focused on creating the barrier. What about Lady Milim, Shen, and Ronga? They are still outside the barrier, Trainee asked in a panic. I don't know about the other two, but something like this will not be able to kill Milim, Guy answered. Besides, Rimuru is still there. He would never allow his comrades to face any form of danger, Ramiris told Trainee. Trainee nodded and focused her mana along with everyone else in creating the barrier. Clayman had his head facing the ceiling. He was deep in thought before he looked at Rimuru with anger. I may not have the power to beat you, but not even you can escape this nuclear explosion without injury. Even if you survive, your friends will certainly perish. I only wish that I could see the look of anguish on your face when you realize how helpless you truly are. It seems that you were right, Laplace. I really got carried away with my new powers. None of this would have happened if I had planned things out well, Clayman thought to himself. Forgive me, Lord Kazaram. Clayman shouted in a loud voice before the light from the rune expanded and consumed him. Don't get ahead of yourself, Clayman. I am still standing, you know, Rimuru said to him in anger. Activate the ultimate skill, Beelzebub. Yes or no? Yes. And that was all it took for Beelzebub to consume everything. Clayman's nuclear skill was impressive, but nothing could escape the quenching hunger of Beelzebub. It consumed Clayman along with the nuclear strike and isolated it into Rimuru's imaginary space, where Sile began to convert it into power. After Rimuru consumed the explosion, everywhere became quiet. Rimuru turned to everyone, who was watching him with shocked looks on their faces. He could understand why they were looking at him like that. After all, he just ate an attack that had enough power to blow up a continent like it was nothing. Before he could move, Milim tackled him in a hug, which pushed them both to the ground. Both of them lay on the ground, still hugging each other. I was worried about you for a moment, you know, Milim whispered to him. Rimuru smiled. Sorry for worrying you, Milim. I promise to make it up to you. Yeah. I plan to make you pay for worrying me like this, but for now, I am happy that it is finally over, Milim said to him. Rimuru released her from the hug and helped her stand up. He gazed into her eyes and smiled. After we go home, let's go on a date together, just the two of us. Milim blushed hard after hearing what Rimuru said. A huge smile made its way to her lips. I would like that a lot. Rimuru smiled back and closed the distance between them in a kiss, which Milim returned. They both kept on kissing, not minding that the other demon lords all had awkward looks on their faces while watching the two of them. Chapter 14, The Octogram. The demon lords watching Rimuru and Milim all had awkward looks on their faces. How long do they intend to kiss? Ramiris asked. It has been 5 minutes already. Shouldn't we stop them by now? Dino said. Well, they have been hiding their feelings from each other. Now they can freely show and express them, Fry said. They could do that once the meeting is over. For now, we need them to stop and return to their seats, Guy said as he stood up and approached them. Hey, Rimuru and Milim. Rimuru and Milim, who were still kissing, stopped when they realized someone was calling them. They separated and looked around, only to see that everyone was staring at them. They blushed from the embarrassment of the situation. You two can do whatever you want with each other later, after we finish this meeting, Guy said to them before walking back to his seat. Rimuru shyly nodded to Guy before he turned to Milim, who was by his side. Let's go, Milim. We still have to conclude this Walpurgis. But I want to be with you some more, she pouted. Rimuru nearly had a heart attack from seeing the pout on Milim's face. He immediately looked away from her to calm his racing heart. This is dangerous. I have to be careful around her. That look of hers is too cute to be described. Deep breath, Rimuru, deep breath, he thought to himself. Milim looked at Rimuru with confusion written all over her face. Is something wrong, Rimuru? Rimuru, hearing his name, turned back to her and gave her an awkward smile. Nothing is wrong. Let's hurry up and get this meeting started. Milim nodded, and they both returned to where the others were. Once they arrived, they took their seats next to each other after Rimuru brought out a table from his stomach. Guy stood up and began. Now that the real mastermind is dead, I have 2 things to ask. He turned to Carrion. First, how are you still alive, Carrion? I wasn't actually killed. Milim and Fry wanted to trick Clayman and gain his trust. They needed Clayman to let his guard down and reveal where he kept the spell he used to bind Fry and her people. So, they made him believe that Milim had killed me in that fight, while I stayed in hiding, Carrion explained. Milim suddenly stood up from her seat with a look of realization. She turned to Fry. Fry, did you bring it for me? Fry smiled at her antics and brought out 2 pairs of pink dragon knuckles. Of course I brought them. Honestly, Milim. When I saw you pose before engaging Rimuru, I thought that you had forgotten everything we talked about. Milim took the dragon knuckles and hugged them to her face to hide her blush. I couldn't help it. Hearing Rimuru say all that because of me made me really happy. Fry sighed. At least everything worked out. Before I forget. Fry stood up, walked over to Rimuru, and bowed. Thank you for saving my life and that of my people. It means a lot to me. Rimuru became embarrassed and started waving his hands to stop her from bowing. No need to bow to me. Please raise your head already. Fry raised her head and smiled at him before she went back to her seat. Milim returned to her seat and placed her head on Rimuru's shoulder. Rimuru blushed but didn't push her away. Instead, he placed his hand on her waist and brought her closer to him. Milim, seeing where Rimuru's hand was, began to blush as well, but she didn't move. Guy and everyone else saw them being all lovey-dovey with each other and decided to ignore them. Guy continued, now that we have that confusion about Carrion out of the way, is there anyone here who is opposed to allowing Rimuru into our ranks? No problem here. He has more than earned the right to call himself a demon lord, de Gruul said. I see no problems with him joining us. He is already strong, so there is no issue, Leon said. No problem here. I trust Rimuru after he saved me and my people, Fry said. He already has my trust after all he has done for my people, Carrion said. Whatever. Just make him a demon lord already so I can go to sleep, Dino said with a yawn. This will be the first time ever that a true dragon becomes a demon lord. I wonder how the people will react when they hear of this, Velzard said. Guy nodded and turned to Valentine. Do you have any objections? Personally, I would never allow a mere slime to join our ranks, even if he is a true dragon, Valentine said. Milim had a pissed-off look on her face after hearing what Valentine said about Rimuru. She stood up suddenly and pointed at him. How dare you say that about my Rimuru, you mere servant? She then turned to the girl dressed as a maid who was standing behind Valentine and pointed at her. Luminous! You better train your servant well, because if he says anything rude about Rimuru again, I will end him. Everyone in the meeting room became completely quiet after hearing Milim's outburst. They didn't know how to address what Milim had just revealed. Rimuru facepalmed after Milim's outburst. He stood up and gently took Milim's hand, drawing her attention back to him. Milim, I don't know what their story is, but I'm certain that you should not have revealed that in front of all these people. Milim had an realization look before she quietly sat back down in her seat next to Rimuru. The girl in question, Luminous, was looking at Milim with an expression that said, I want to slap her, but I know she would try to kill me if I did, though it might be worth it. Luminous sighed and changed her appearance back to her vampire clothes. Demon Lord Valentine was powerful, but Demon Lord Luminous Valentine was at the pinnacle of power. Her aura was massively larger than that of her servant, who had been pretending to be a demon lord in her place. Roy, you can return early without me, Luminous said to the decoy Demon Lord Valentine, whose true name was Roy. But my lady, is it wise for me to leave you? Roy asked. Yes, I'm sure. And besides... She looked at Fry and Carrion, who both had shocked expressions upon seeing her true identity. There is no longer any need to hide the fact that I am the true Demon Lord, since everyone here already knows by now. As you wish, my lady, Roy bowed before disappearing. Luminous took the seat Roy had been using and ignored the murmuring happening around her. Rimuru looked at Luminous and was surprised. Her magicule count is bigger than I thought. I think she has a grudge against Milim because of what she just did, he thought. Guy continued as if nothing had happened. Since no one is objecting, I would like to welcome Rimuru as the new demon lord within our ranks. Milim smiled and kissed Rimuru on the chin. Congratulations on becoming a demon lord, Rimuru. Rimuru smiled and pecked her on the lips. Thanks for your support. Fry raised her hand. What is the problem, Fry? Did you change your mind about Rimuru? Guy asked. It is nothing like that. I just want to say something, Fry said. Go ahead, then, Guy replied. Fry nodded before continuing. I would like to step down from being a demon lord. Everyone was shocked upon hearing her words. They did not expect her to step down. Is there a reason you want to step down? Guy asked. I realized something after watching the fights that took place here. I don't have enough power to compete with the real monsters in this world. If it were me who fought Clayman today, I would most certainly have lost and died. I don't hold a candle to Clayman, not to mention the female ogre subordinate of Rimuru who completely dominated him, Fry explained. But Fry, you are known as the Sky Empress. Surely, if it were in the sky, you would have won, de Gruel said to her. If it were, then maybe I would have. But we demon lords never get to choose the location of our fights. I know my strengths and weaknesses better than anyone, after all, Fry said. Is this truly what you want? Guy asked. Yes, she answered. Very well, then. I hereby approve of your withdrawal, Guy announced. Hold on a minute. I, too, would like to step down, Carrion announced. Why do you want to step down, Carrion? Guy asked. It is true that we demon lords have a system of equality among ourselves, but after losing to Milim and seeing just how strong Clayman was, it made me realize that I am not yet as strong as those at the top of this world. Demon lords need not make excuses, so I will step down and leave the seat to those who are worthy of it, Carrion explained. I see. It's a shame. I expected you to awaken in another 100 years or so. What do you and Fry plan to do? Guy asked. I don't know about Carrion, but I plan to become a subordinate of Milim, Fry answered. Likewise, Carrion said. Milim, who was still snuggling with Rimuru, immediately perked up upon hearing what Fry and Carrion said. What? Milim shouted. The other demon lords looked surprised by what Fry and Carrion were planning. None were as surprised as Milim was. You can't be my subordinates. I don't want you to, Milim said with a sad tone. Fry walked up to Milim. What's wrong, Milim? Why are you against this? Milim looked at Fry. If you and Carrion become my subordinates, then we won't get to talk as equals anymore, and we won't be friends anymore. Don't worry, Milim. If I become your subordinate, I will still be able to be with you and play with you whenever you want, Fry explained. As for me, I plan to build a new kingdom with Milim at the top. I still plan to be the king of my people, but Milim will be the overall ruler, Carrion said. Milim looked worried, not knowing what to do in this situation. She then felt someone grab her hand. She looked down and saw Rimuru smiling up at her. She sighed and looked back at Fry and Carrion. You guys can do whatever you want. I don't care anymore, she said. Rimuru stood up, still holding Milim's hand, and looked at Carrion. You don't need to worry about your city. I will help you rebuild it. Carrion was shocked by Rimuru's words. Truly, Rimuru? Thanks a lot. I am in your debt. Don't worry about it. You and I have a friendly relationship, Rimuru said, waving his hand. Still, if there is anything I can do for you, just ask, Carrion said. Like I said, don't worry about it. But if you really want to repay me, take care of Milim from now on when I'm not around, Rimuru told him. Is that all you want? Carrion asked. Yes. Milim is someone I care about more than my own life, and I would be very angry if anyone hurt her in any way whatsoever, Rimuru explained. Milim blushed scarlet upon hearing Rimuru's words. She tightened her grip on Rimuru's hand. Words could not describe the love she felt for him at that moment. Rimuru felt her hold and smiled back at her with a look of deep affection. Carrion, seeing the exchange between them, sighed. As you wish, Rimuru. Since I plan to be her subordinate, I will do everything in my power to make her wishes come true. Likewise, Rimuru Tempest, Fry said to him. After that, both Fry and Carrion left the room and moved to the lounge where the other Demon Lord subordinates were staying. The remaining Demon Lords wanted to end the meeting, but something occurred to Rimuru. Oh yeah. I guess we are no longer the 10 great Demon Lords, since we are low on numbers, Rimuru said, mostly to himself, but the others heard him. The Demon Lords all paused and looked at Rimuru with surprised expressions. Now that you mention it, Lumina said. We will need a new name, Leon said. But the other name took us centuries to decide, and we weren't even the ones who came up with it. Rather, we just went with the name the humans called us since it stuck, Dino said. Everyone, calm down. We have all the Demon Lords here today. If we all put our heads together, we can come up with an amazing name, Guy said to them. How about the 8 Great Demon? Ramiris tried to say, but she was cut off by the looks everyone gave her. I don't see what the big deal is with having a new name, Velzard said in a bored tone. Of course it is important. A new name will help show the humans exactly who is in charge of this world. It is essential that we have a name that stands out, Guy said to her. Then, how about letting my beloved Rimuru handle it? Milim suggested. Rimuru looked at Milim with a shocked expression. He had tried his best not to get involved in this mess, but he had forgotten just how carefree Milim could be. Milim, darling. I love you, but don't you think that is a huge responsibility for a brand new Demon Lord like me? Rimuru asked her. Oh, come on. This is nothing to you. I have seen you give monsters names on the fly, so this should be easy for you, Milim said. That's right. You did name Beretta on the spot, Ramiris chimed in. Then, Rimuru, as a new member in our ranks, you will be granted the privilege of giving us a new name, Guy said to him. Rimuru wanted to protest, but seeing the puppy dog eyes Milim was giving him, he surrendered. All right, all ready. Just don't blame me if you don't like it. After sitting and thinking for a while, he remembered that tonight was a new moon filled with twinkling stars. Octogram. How about Octogram as our new name? Rimuru told them. The Demon Lords immediately liked the name. See, Rimuru? I knew you could give us a wonderful name, Milim said, pecking him on his chin. Just like that, Dino murmured. Impressive, Lumina said. It almost feels like you can do anything, Rimuru, de Gruel said. See? That's my best friend for you. Ramiris said, flying around Guy. Guy smiled upon hearing the name. Then it settled. Quite a lovely name. From this point forward, we shall be feared and respected under our new name, the Octogram. On this night of a new moon, a new era of Demon Lords will rise, and we shall all bear our titles. Lord of Darkness Guy Crimson. Destroyer Milim Nova. Labyrinth Master Ramiris. Continent Wrath de Gruel. Queen of Nightmares Luminous Valentine. Sleeping Ruler Dino. Platinum Saber Leon Cromwell. Devourer Rimuru Tempest. Everyone nodded in agreement with Guy's words. After that, they began the distribution of domains. Rimuru was put in charge of the entire Jura forest, and Milim was given her domain along with Fries and Carrions. Everything was rounded up, and they all began to leave. Velzard walked up to Rimuru and Milim as they prepared to depart. Rimuru. Rimuru looked at her. Is there something you need? I just wanted to congratulate you and my niece on your relationship, she said with a smile. Rimuru smiled back. Thanks for the support, Velzard. It is good to have the support of a member of Milim's family. Think nothing of it. By the way, how is my foolish little brother doing? Velzad asked. He's okay. He is living in my city now, Rimuru answered. Velzad smiled a warm smile. Maybe I should visit him sometime. If you have the time, feel free to come, Rimuru said to her. She nodded at him and left the two of them alone. Rimuru looked at Milim and saw her staring at the ground. Is something wrong, Milim? Rimuru asked. She snapped out of her daydream and looked up. Nothing is wrong. I was just thinking about how happy I am to finally have you. Thank you for returning my feelings, Rimuru. Rimuru brought her face closer to his and kissed her on the lips. Milim, being new to the whole kissing thing, blushed deeply but did not pull away. After a moment, they separated, and Rimuru looked into her eyes. I should be the one thanking you. Once we get back home, let's take a break from work and just have fun together. Milim smiled and nodded. Yeah, I would like that very much. With that, they and their subordinates headed home together. Veldora's POV. That was close. I almost ran into my sister just now. I came all the way here just to ask Rimuru for the new issue of this amazing manga I am reading, but I didn't expect to sense my sister in there as well. This is not good at all, and to make matters worse, it is Velzad who is in there. If she finds me, my peaceful new life is over. Because of this, I turned around and flew back to Tempest as fast as I could. I will just ask Rimuru when he gets back. There is no need to risk my life like that if it isn't absolutely necessary, I thought to myself as I flew home. Chapter 15, finally back in Tempest. Rimuru returned to Tempest with Milim by his side, with Shun and Ronga following behind using spatial motion. As they arrived back in Tempest, Rimuru walked into the city and saw most of his people and the patrolling officers kneeling before him, creating a path for him to enter. He had no idea when they had learned to do this, but he wasn't complaining. He took Milim's hand in his and began to walk into the city, followed by Shun and Ronga. Rimuru looked up and saw Diawolo and Veldora approaching him. Diawolo approached Rimuru and gave him a sincere smile. Welcome back, Lord Rimuru. Veldora approached him as well, holding a manga. Rimuru! How could you do this to me? What are you talking about, Veldora? Rimuru asked, confused. Don't act like you don't know. You gave me this manga and left out the continuation. Veldora complained. Oh, that's right. I did that to him thinking it would be a funny prank. I didn't think he would react quite this strongly, though, Rimuru thought to himself. Don't worry, Veldora. I will give you the rest later, Rimuru said. He looked behind himself and saw Shun and Diawolo having a heated debate about who made a better secretary for him. They seemed to get along just fine. Lord Rimuru, you've returned. Rimuru looked ahead and saw Rigard approaching. He arrived and smiled. How did it go, my lord? I will brief everyone later. Right now, Milim and I are going to soak in the hot spring and rest. Oh. So you and Lady Milim are now together? Rigard asked. Rimuru smiled and looked at Milim. Yes, we are, and I couldn't be happier. Milim blushed at that and smiled a small smile. Veldora looked at Milim's expression in surprise. I never thought I would see the day when my niece would act so meek. Milim glared at Veldora with an embarrassed expression. What are you talking about, stupid Veldora? You are just as bad as me, and you know it. I am not as bad as you. Who was the one who blew away that entire small nation just because she couldn't find me during a hide-and-seek game? Veldora asked. Oh yeah? Then who was the one who blew away the town where Aunt Velgrin's new garden was planted, all because you didn't want to do your homework? Milim shouted back. Both of them began shouting at each other like this, and before Rimuru and his subordinates knew what was happening, Milim and Veldora were exchanging punches. Rimuru sighed to himself before stepping up to Veldora's side and taking Milim's hand, causing both of them to stop. Once they had calmed down, Rimuru looked at the two of them. "You two sure get along well." "Of course we do, Rimuru. After all, I helped raise her, you know," Veldora said in a proud voice. "Yeah. Veldora may be a pain sometimes, but he is okay to hang out with," Milim said. "I get the feeling that the reason Milim turned out the way she did is entirely due to Veldora's influence," Rimuru thought. After that exchange, Rimuru took Milim to the hot spring, and both of them had a good soak. It was very awkward for Rimuru to be so close to a naked Milim, but he hid his embarrassment incredibly well. They enjoyed each other's company and talked for a while before leaving the hot spring. Once they left, they arrived at the dining room and ate the delicious food Haruna had prepared for them. After some time, Rimuru returned to his office. He went alone because Milim had fallen asleep immediately after eating. He carried her to his home and placed her in his bed before going to see Diawolo in his office for the debriefing. "So," Rimuru began, "how did the mission go? Did you complete it, or do you need more resources?" Rimuru was back in his slime form, sitting on Shen's lap while he listened to what Diawolo had to say. "That won't be necessary, my lord. You see, the mission was a success, and everything is proceeding according to plan," Diawolo answered. "Seriously? But you are back so early. I thought this mission would have taken you much longer to complete," Rimuru told him. "It was no trouble at all, Lord Rimuru. I made the king of the Falmouth nation sign the conditions that I handed to him. We will hear a reply from them in about 1 week, Diawolo explained." "What are these conditions?" Rimuru asked. "The first is for the king to abdicate and for the nation to pay war reparations. The second is for the nation to surrender to us and become our vassal state. The last is that if they decline any of the above conditions, we will not hesitate to wipe them off the face of the earth. These are the conditions I presented to them," Diawolo explained. "How much did you ask for as war reparations?" Rimuru asked him. 10,000 stellar coins, Diawolo answered proudly. Rimuru had no words to describe how shocked he was. 10,000 stellars was equivalent to 1 million gold coins. That was far too much, no matter how you looked at it. If it were back in his home world, 10,000 stellars would be equivalent to $10 billion. That was an unbelievable amount of money to demand. "Isn't that too much money to ask of them?" Rimuru asked. "It is no problem, my lord. It may be true that I gave them 3 choices, but when you look closely, only one is a real answer. The last 2 choices are of no value, but how they answer the first is how we will begin negotiations," Diawolo explained. He went on to explain his plans to Rimuru, and how he intended to use their confusion as an opportunity to install Yume as the new king of Falmouth. Rimuru listened to the plan, agreed with the strategy, and they continued to coordinate their next moves. "So Rimuru, the Western Holy Church has summoned one of my pawns, Rahim, to their headquarters. I believe the reason is because they want him to explain what happened on the battlefield," Diawolo said. This will lead to trouble if we ignore it," Rimuru muttered. "Yes, it will, sir. Should we have him explain the truth of what happened on the battlefield to them?" Diawolo asked. "The Western Holy Church has a deep grudge against Veldora. With my ascension to a true dragon and my appointment as a demon lord, word will spread that 2 true dragons are residing in the Jura forest. This will make them incredibly wary of us and might prompt them to make a foolish decision. With Hinata being the leader of the paladins, it will be difficult to negotiate with them," Rimuru explained. After thinking for a moment, Rimuru had an idea. "Get me a magic recording device. We seized some from Clayman, right? I will record a personal message with it and have Rahim deliver it to the church to see how they react." "Splendid idea, my lord," Diawolo nodded. "I will bring one over to you, my lord." Shen ran out to fetch the device. Once Shen returned with the device, Rimuru recorded a message on it and instructed Diawolo to take it to Rahim, so he could deliver it to the Western Holy Church during his summons. After that, Rimuru went home and saw Milim sleeping soundly in his bed. He stared at her for a while, admiring her beautiful face. He remembered how Milim had pleaded with Fry to allow her to follow him to his home for a day after the Walpurgis ended. Flashback. Milim was holding Fry by the shoulders, looking at her with a pleading expression. Fry, please, allow me to spend just one day with Rimuru in his nation. But Milim, you have a huge responsibility to handle. With my nation and Carrion's nation joining your own, you have to manage it as its new ruler, Fry explained. Please, Fry. If anyone will understand my feelings, it's you, Milim pleaded. Fry knew exactly what she meant. Milim had finally gotten the person she loved more than anything to love her back. Of course she wouldn't want to be away from him. Fry could completely understand, because she, too, held such feelings. Looking at Milim's smile when she looked at Rimuru, and seeing the love he showed her, Fry couldn't help but feel a little envy in her heart. She wished she had the same courage Milim had to confess her feelings to the one she loved. She gave a side glance toward Carrion before looking back at Milim. Okay. You can go, but you have to promise me that you will return tomorrow, no matter what. Do you understand? Milim eagerly nodded before running to Rimuru and hugging him tightly. Fry could see the pure love they had for each other as they hugged. She sighed and turned to Carrion. Let's go. We have a lot of work ahead of us, she told him. Don't worry about a thing. You know I have your back, no matter the situation, Carrion told her with a charming smile. Fry blushed and looked away from him, muttering, idiot. Flashback end. Rimuru smiled at the memory. He laid down next to Milim in his human form. As if sensing his presence, Milim turned and wrapped her arms around him, placing her head on his chest. Rimuru was caught off guard for a moment, but he smiled and kissed Milim's forehead. I love you so much. I don't know what the future may have in store for us, but with you by my side, we shall overcome any obstacle in our path. I know, and I love you too. Whatever happens, we will be together forever, Milim muttered against his chest. Rimuru smiled at her words, tightened his hold around her, and both of them fell fast asleep. Chapter 16, Everyone's Reaction. Laplace had just finished delivering the bad news he had heard to the group assembled before him. Clayman is dead? You lie. There is no way that could happen. Footman, one of the moderate clown troupe, shouted. Everyone was simply too shocked for words. They couldn't believe that one of their own was dead. 2 nights ago, on the night of the Walpurgis Council, I lost connection with Clayman, Kazalim said to them. My connection with someone I viewed as my own child. This could only mean that he is dead. Even now, after hearing what Laplace said, I can't seem to accept that reality. Tear began to sob for the loss of Clayman. This should not have happened, Yuki regretfully lamented. I believed that the demon lords were kid stuff and could be easily manipulated. I even gave Clayman those souls which awakened him for the very purpose of overthrowing the other demon lords. How could he have died? Well, from what I heard from Demon Lord Valentine before I killed him, Clayman challenged Rimuru, the slime who has evolved and become a true dragon, and lost his life in the process, Laplace explained. Everyone had a shocked look upon hearing the news. They could not understand what Laplace had just said. No, it wasn't that they didn't understand, but they simply couldn't accept the reality before them. I have heard rumors that the new demon lord, Rimuru, has evolved into a true dragon, but I thought it was just a rumor. To think that it was actually true, Yuki said to them with a stunned expression. No way. You mean that slime Rimuru is now a true dragon? Tear shouted in shock. I find it hard to believe. Just how did he evolve? Kazalim muttered to herself. If only we had known that he was a true dragon, we would have stopped Clayman from doing anything foolish like challenging him, Footman said. If you put it that way, replied Laplace, trying to lighten the mood, I never imagined that it would turn out this way when I suggested that we hold a Walpurgis, not that it matters now. Plus, you have to understand that Clayman was a fool at times. I warned him not to let his guard down, but he wouldn't listen. He even went and picked a fight with Rimuru, knowing that he is a true dragon, and it blew up in his face. Laplace! Footman snarled. Do not speak of Clayman like that again. I'm only telling the truth. Clayman got too arrogant and cocky, which led to his death. You can't deny that fact, Laplace said. Laplace! Footman, letting his anger consume him, took a swing at Laplace. Footman hit his chin, but Laplace stood right where he was, not bothering to dodge. You want to go, Footman? Be my guest, Laplace told him in a taunting way. Before they could continue, Kazalim stopped them. Stop it, you two. This is not the time for fighting, Kazalim said. She is right, Laplace. You shouldn't try to bear the whole burden by yourself when all of this is clearly my fault. I'm the one who hired you guys, after all. If you need to blame someone, then blame me, Yuki told them. Footman, realizing that Laplace was only acting as the bad guy to keep them grounded, immediately apologized to him. After that, they decided to discuss their next course of action. What do we do now, boss? Do we go and attack Rimuru for what he did to Clayman? Laplace asked. Yuki took a thinking pose. I'm curious about something. Laplace, Kazalim. You two are on the same level as any awakened demon lord out there. Kazalim, I gave you those souls along with Clayman, and you both awakened into a true demon lord. With your current strength, Kazalim, I would say that you are equal to Leon in power, and this is you without even regaining your complete form and powers. So, why do you still seem hesitant when it comes to challenging Demon Lord Guy, Demon Lord Milim, and the true dragons? You really don't know what kind of monsters those at the top are, do you? Kazalim asked him. To be honest, I don't have an accurate gauge on how strong they actually are, Yuki said. Yuki is right. Just why are those guys called catastrophic beings? Te asked. Listen well, everyone, Kazalim said. Those who are classified as catastrophic beings are said to have enough power to destroy this world, or any world they want, with a flick of their wrist. Their power, when compared to that of an ordinary demon lord, is like comparing a D-rank adventurer to an awakened demon lord. There is no comparison in strength and power, because their very existence is power itself. How do you know this, Kazalim? Have you seen their power up close or something? Yuki asked. I never told any of you how I actually became a demon lord, did I? Kazalim asked them. Does that have anything to do with what we are discussing? Footman asked. It does, in fact, relate to what we are discussing, Kazalim began. Back then, I was on top of the world with my power. I believed that I could beat anyone who got in my way with the abilities I possessed. My power went straight to my head, and it made me angry whenever someone suggested that I wasn't the strongest. This arrogance of mine clouded my mind, and I went and challenged the strongest being in the world, Demon Lord Guy Crimson. Everyone was shocked to hear Kazalim's confession. You actually challenged Demon Lord Guy to a fight? Taya shouted. Wow! I knew you were strong, but challenging Demon Lord Guy seems completely reckless, Footman said. And here I thought I was the crazy one. Good to know I got my traits from someone, Laplace said with a light chuckle. So, who won the duel between you and Guy? Though, I can already guess the outcome, Yuki said. I couldn't even fight Guy, because I was stopped at the entrance of his palace, Kazalim told them. Wait! You weren't even able to fight Guy? Who was strong enough to stop you before you could reach him? Laplace asked. The looks on the others' faces showed they were just as curious to know who had stopped Kazalim. I didn't challenge Guy because one of his primordial demons beat me before I had the chance. Her name was Rain, and she was beyond strong. Her strength is slightly greater than that of an awakened demon lord. She was incredibly powerful, yes, but she was only a mere servant to Demon Lord Guy. Just when she was about to kill me, Demon Lord Guy stopped her. When I saw Demon Lord Guy for the first time, every cell in my body told me to flee before he killed me, because the power I sensed coming from him was far beyond anything I had ever felt in my life. Luckily for me, he didn't want to kill me. Instead, he made me an offer to join the ranks of the Demon Lords. After joining them and seeing Guy up close, there was one thing I realized about this world.
Which is?
Yuki asked. Kazlim sighed and looked them in the eyes. That those at the top should never be messed with unless you have a death wish. Demon Lord Guy Crimson, Demon Lord Milim Nova, and the true dragons. These beings should not be messed with under any circumstances, because no one is on their level. Demon Lord Guy is the overlord of all demons, and Demon Lord Milim is said to have fought him to a draw for 7 days straight. The true dragons are said to be the embodiment of destruction itself. Compared to those monsters, we simply don't stand a chance. Everyone digested what Kazlim had just said to them. It was hard to believe that powers like this existed in this world, and that there were strengths they couldn't even comprehend. Yuki clapped his hands to get everyone's attention. Well, our dream is world domination, and if we are to take over the world someday, we will eventually have to fight those at the top. Though, it is very worrying that Rimuru Tempest has evolved into a true dragon. This will bring a major halt to our future plans.
What do you suggest we do then, boss?
Kazlim asked. Rimuru sent a small portion of his military might to capture Clayman's domain. The place is now completely under his control, Yuki told them.
Hold on. Are you trying to tell me that those magic-born weren't his full military might?
Footman asked with a shocked look. How can that be? Those guys were so strong that it wasn't even fair. Even that new Orc Lord, Geld, almost killed Footman during their fight. I had to use my explosions to distract them long enough for us to escape, Tear said. Now you understand the kind of foe we face. Rimuru Tempest and his monster nation are becoming a major threat to the world at large. Now that he is among the strongest beings in the world, I fear that no one can beat him or his people in a straight-up battle. Which is why we must lay low for now and observe how the world reacts to him, Yuki told them.
Do you have a plan, boss?
Kazlim asked. Not yet, but I will think of something. In the meantime, we focus our attention on Demon Lord Leon and how to beat him. We are more than strong enough to take Leon in a fight, but I want to be absolutely sure that I'm not missing anything for when we challenge him, Yuki explained. They continued to discuss their future plans on how to handle the situation presented before them. In the Western Holy Church, there was a sacred mountain looming in the center of the Holy Empire of Lubelius. The Holy Church headquarters was located at the foot of the mountain. Proceed straight through it, and you'll find the Holy Temple, which houses the cathedral that connects to the mountain's entrance. Beyond it and up the path, the inner cloister loomed ahead. This was the holiest and most forbidden place in all of Lubelius. In the inner cloister, 3 people were gathered. One was relaxing in her bed while the other 2 stood next to her. The one relaxing in her bed was the true demon lord Luminous Valentine. The other 2 were Hinata, the leader of the Paladins and defender of humanity, and Louis, the twin brother of Roy. Hinata reported to Luminous about the death of Roy. Luminous made no indication that she was sad or angry after she heard that Roy had been killed. She only sighed and relaxed further into her bed. My lady, my brother is happy wherever he might be now, and... Louis tried to say, but Luminous cut him off. Silence! This almost sounds like I led Roy to his death, Luminous snapped in anger. Hinata bowed her head to Luminous. I apologize, Lady Luminous. If only I had finished off that enemy when I had the chance. So be it. Luminous looked at Hinata and Louis. You 2 were merely following my orders. I am the one who deserves to be blamed. No, my lady, we are to blame, not you, Louis said. That's right, Lady Luminous. The blame lies with me for allowing that intruder to escape. Please don't blame yourself for our mistake, Hinata added. Luminous shook her head. It doesn't matter now. We don't have time to mourn his death because the Storm Dragon has been revived, and we have a new Demon Lord in Rimuru. That is the undeniable truth, and we must decide how to handle it. Yes, my lady. I understand, Lady Luminous. Hinata thought to herself before she looked up at Luminous. Would you like me to defeat Veldora for you? Hinata. Luminous coldly called her name. You have indeed gotten stronger, much stronger than when you fought me. You are almost on my level, but even if you can match and defeat some of the demon lords, you will never defeat Veldora. My lady is right, Hinata. That is how terrifying that dragon is. A true catastrophe, Louis said to her. He is powerful, yes, but didn't a hero seal him away? Hinata asked. Look, Hinata. That dragon is a form of natural energy itself. He has a free will of his own on top of his overwhelming powers. He cannot be cut by a sword. When he flies, the shockwave alone will ravage the earth, far more than our puny magic ever could. He is classified as a catastrophe for a reason, Luminous said to her. Hinata was enlightened. She had believed that the demon lords represented the ultimate power in the world, never imagining that beings such as true dragons existed. Still, she made a vow in her heart that if it came down to it, she would find a way to slay that dragon. Hinata, please don't do anything reckless. I don't want to lose you, too, Luminous told her gently. I understand. What about Rimuru, the new demon lord? Hinata asked. I would like to know what happened during the Walpurgis, my lady, Louis requested. He is a completely different case. Luminous looked at both Hinata and Louis directly. Listen up, you two. You must never, and I repeat, ever, pick a fight with Rimuru Tempest under any circumstances. Both Hinata and Louis were shocked by the stern warning. Wasn't Rimuru the new demon lord whom Hinata had previously failed to kill? If I may ask, my lady, why should we avoid him? Louis inquired. That's right, Lady Luminous. From your tone, it almost sounds like you are afraid of him, Hinata said. If you two had seen what I saw at the Walpurgis, I promise you both would agree with me, Luminous sighed, relaxing back into her bed. What happened, my lady? Demon Lord Rimuru has somehow evolved into a true dragon. From what I sensed, his powers are greater than those of Veldora. He fought Demon Lord Milim during the Walpurgis and was able to counter everything Milim could dish out at him with 0 damage. After watching their fight, I realized that only Guy or Milim could fight Rimuru on equal footing as he is now, Luminous explained. They were completely speechless. How could they possibly hope to fight not one, but 2 true dragons? If he is as strong as you say he is, why doesn't he kill the storm dragon, Veldora, since he is living in his city in the Jura forest? Hinata asked. Rimuru says that he is friends with the storm dragon. Honestly, I was saving a trump card for whenever the storm dragon decided to attack us, but the situation has changed. We not only have Veldora to worry about, but Rimuru and Milim as well, Luminous told them. Why do we have to worry about Demon Lord Milim, my lady? Louis asked. Luminous looked at them as if they were being foolish before she realized she hadn't told them yet. Oh, that. Rimuru and Milim are lovers. What? Both Hinata and Louis shouted in unison. Yes, they are. They confessed their love to each other during the Walpurgis and are now dating. If any harm should come to Rimuru, then expect that Milim will utterly destroy whoever brought that harm to him. The same is true for Milim, because Rimuru made it clear that anyone who plans to lay a hand on her or her people is his mortal enemy, Luminous said to them. I see. What do we do, my lady? Hinata asked. We have no choice but to avoid any form of hostility with Rimuru. The church has yet to declare him a divine enemy, fortunately, Luminous said. No, but... What is the problem, Hinata? Luminous asked her. I fear the city and highways the monsters are building could cause the angels to invade much more quickly. Yes, those annoying little insects are still around. Although, making an enemy out of Demon Lord Rimuru, Demon Lord Milim, and the storm dragon Veldora would be far worse. If Rimuru attracts too much attention to himself, he will become the angels' main target anyway. Either way, there is no use overthinking it now, Luminous said, closing her eyes. There is also the fact that their town turns the concept of monsters being humanity's common enemy, one of Luminism's core tenets, completely on its head, Hinata pointed out. Lumina sighed upon hearing that. That would indeed be bad for her and her people if humanity stopped believing in her teachings. Perhaps we could find a way to control Rimuru and make him our accomplice, Louis suggested. That will never work. Rimuru just wants to live in a world with his beloved Milim and have fun with her. He said it straight to our faces during the meeting. I just want to live in a world with Milim where monsters and humans can coexist. Anyone who gets in my way, be it a god, a true dragon, a demon lord, or even the Western Holy Church, is my enemy. There is no way for us to control him, and in an all-out fight against him, we would only face complete annihilation, Luminous told them with a heavy, serious voice. Hinata and Louis stared down at the floor, realizing the gravity of the situation. No need to make those faces, you two. We will simply continue to hold our ground as we always have. No brash moves. Our only responsibility for now is to announce to our followers that Veldora the Storm Dragon is back, and that Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest is now a true dragon just like Veldora, Luminous instructed. And how should we proceed with Rimuru? Hinata asked. From how he acts, it is safe to say that Rimuru is the kind of leader who is open to political dialogue. We should be able to manage the Western nations easily enough, Luminous told her. Hinata nodded. Do you think he will bear a grudge against you? Luminous asked. A little. I did almost kill him, after all, Hinata answered honestly. True, but Rimuru doesn't strike me as someone who would hold that against you to the point of turning us into enemies, Luminous reassured her. That is true. I will keep that in mind. Hinata bowed and left the room after that. Chapter 17, The Meeting with the Paladins. A little over a month had passed. In that time, Hinata spent her days tirelessly at work with her paladins, building a defense against Veldora and Rimuru while her Imperial Guards were out gathering intelligence. Now, it was time for the Empire's monthly conference between both major groups of the papacy, the Crusaders, the Paladins under Hinata's direct control, the Master Rooks, and the Imperial Guard forces serving the Holy Emperor. They were the pride of Lubelius, with Hinata Sakaguchi standing at the very peak. Hinata served as the conference speaker, the chief knight of the Master Rooks, and the captain of the Crusaders, not to mention the strongest knight in the nation. Her word was law during this meeting. To her right were 6 people representing the Crusaders. The first was Captain Renaud Jester, known as the Knight of Light. The next was Arnaud Borman of Air, the man lauded as the second strongest after Hinata. The next was Bacchus of Earth, a man gifted at smashing his magic-infused holy mace into his foes. Following him was Lightus of Water, a beautiful healer and elementalist who employed the Holy Spirit Undine on the battlefield. Guard of Fire was next, a tall knight and conjurer who wielded his flaming red spear. And finally, Fritz of Wind, a magic fighter as talented in wind magic as he was with his twin swords. The people seated here were among the best of the thousands of paladins, and there was no doubting their immense talents. Contrasting with them, on Hinata's left side, were the Master Rooks, a much more ragtag assemblage. They numbered a mere 33 but still formed their own division due to their incredible strength in battle. They were all at least A rank on the charts, and a few of them were even champion level, a calamity on the threat scale. A few of them were particularly notable. Blue Sky Acer, who looked like a little boy but was older than anyone else in the room. He used to be the chief of the Imperial Guard before Hinata took the role from him. Giant Boulder Grigory. He was Sayer's right-hand man, whose impervious skills granted him astonishing physical resilience. The last was Raging Seed Glenda. She was newer to the fold than Hinata but had quickly made a name for herself in recent years. Notable for her red, spiky hair, she was a wild woman whose fighting skills were still veiled in mystery. This trio was known as the 3 Battlezards, and they sat together opposite the 6 paladins. The 9 of them were literally superhuman, far beyond the framework of what one would think a human body could provide. They were all saints in their own right, and alongside Hinata, they were collectively known as the 10 Great Saints. Sorry for the delay, everyone. Let's begin, Hinata, who was the absolute leader, announced. Behind Hinata, shaded by some bamboo blinds, the Holy Emperor Louis was taking in the joint conference from his seat. Before the meeting could officially start, Seiya made his opinion known.
What gave you the right to be late, Hinata?
Not only did you fail to keep the storm dragon Veldora from waking up, you even let a new demon lord be born. You failed as our leader, and I refuse to follow an incompetent leader like you, Seiya said with disgust.
You are being rude, Sir Seiya, Renaud coldly stated.
Arnor nodded his head.
He is right, boy.
If you have an issue with our captain, I'd be more than happy to work it out with you.
Is that so?
Grigory said with an irritated voice.
You fancy pants knights want to start a fight with us?
That's very cocky of you, considering you only act that way toward opponents who are polite enough to lose on purpose.
What did you say, you buffoon?
Bacchus shouted.
You want to die, you lowlifes?
Fritz said with anger. The meeting continued like this, with the knights throwing insults back and forth. Hinata sighed and glared at everyone in anger.
All of you, shut up.
Absolute silence reigned after she spoke. Everybody looked at her, waiting to see what she would say. Now is not the time for allies to be squabbling with each other. Hinata turned to Seiya. Seiya, if you want to take my place at the top, you are more than welcome to try. Bear in mind, I would have to test you myself to see if you have what it takes. That was enough to silence every knight in the room. Hinata's words were no mere threat. If the knights had continued to argue foolishly, she was ready to start slashing at them. Her audience was smart enough to pick up on that. It was very rare for Hinata to show that much emotion, forcing Seiya to back down because any more prodding would be dangerous.
Phut!
Whatever, Seiya said with a frustrated look. He had already tasted a humiliating defeat against Hinata once. He was not ready to face that same humiliation again anytime soon. Hinata calmed down after making sure everyone had settled.
Report.
Reporting, Lyta said, freshly returned from field work around the Jura forest. The forest is in perfect peace. Even after Veldora's resurrection, I spotted a group of merchants entering and exiting the area. I managed to overhear a few rumors.
Which are?
Hinata asked. That the new demon lord has ascended into a true dragon, Lyta said. What? Everyone shouted.
Quiet.
Let's hear the report to the end first, Hinata commanded.
But we must address this issue.
Grigory tried to say. I said quiet, or do you want to go against me? Hinata asked Grigory with a sharp glare. He wisely kept silent after that. No matter how arrogant he might be, he was not foolish enough to challenge Hinata.
Continue.
Very well. I spoke with some of the merchants, and they said they were not entirely sure themselves if the rumors were true. However, they told me that the Kingdom of Bluemund has declared a full and open relationship with Tempest. This includes security guarantees, and Bluemund citizens are allowed to come and go as they please. Though, I couldn't confirm if the rumor of Demon Lord Rimuru's ascension to a true dragon was true, since security was incredibly tight, Lytus reported.
I see.
And what about Veldora? Hinata asked. I was unable to confirm Veldora's existence. I couldn't enter the city because there is a barrier covering the entire area, which I believe informs them of the intentions of anyone trying to enter, Lytus said. Hinata nodded to Lytus after she was done giving her report. Hinata had expected something like this, since Luminous had already confirmed to her that Rimuru had indeed ascended to a true dragon. What if the news of Demon Lord Rimuru's ascension is fake? Fritz asked. Hinata gave him a look that immediately silenced him. We cannot write off the possibility of the rumor being true. Let's hear the rest of the report before we decide, Hinata said to them calmly. The meeting continued in this manner, with everyone giving their own reports to Hinata. From what Hinata could gather, it seemed that Demon Lord Rimuru had indeed ascended to a true dragon and had established working relationships with his allied nations. The reports the knights could obtain about the public opinion of Tempest were overwhelmingly positive. The people were praising Tempest, and from the look of things, it was only a matter of time before Tempest became the greatest nation in the Western nations. Ser was the last to give his report. It seems that King Edmaris has abdicated the throne just as Demon Lord Rimuru demanded. On the surface, the transfer of power seemed peaceful. But Edward, the new king, is busy assembling an army of talented mercenaries, and in response, the nobility is getting frantic as well. I believe the start of a civil war is about to take place. And that was exactly what Hinata had wanted to hear. The whole situation in Farmers pointed directly to a civil war, and her suspicion was that the new Demon Lord Rimuru was the mastermind behind it all. That alone is not enough to conclude that Demon Lord Rimuru is the mastermind behind it, though, Ser continued. That's true. So? Hinata asked. I looked into everyone the new king has made contact with. He has been busy, that's for sure, Ser said. Is he trying to shore up his military? Hinata asked. Exactly, Hinata. Well, that settles it. The new King Edward has no interest in fulfilling the demands of Demon Lord Rimuru. No Demon Lord would let something like this go unchallenged, and I doubt Rimuru is foolish enough not to expect this from him. So, do you think this is all part of our new Demon Lord's plans? Fritz asked. Yeah. No doubt about it, Hinata answered. Everything still revolved around that new Demon Lord. Rimuru was a terrifying foe, not just because of his strength, but because of his intelligence. How he predicted outcomes and planned ahead before an event even happened was one of the things that terrified Hinata about Rimuru. Though, she would never let her knights hear her admit that. Hinata looked at the knights seated around her and sighed. They all had highly confident looks on their faces. They were under the impression that they were the strongest beings in this world, excluding the true dragons. She pitied them. Before she met Luminous in person, she had held that same exact thought. Once they saw how truly terrifying a true Demon Lord actually was, she could only hope they wouldn't be too broken after the encounter. That concludes the report. I hope everyone has a clear picture of things. Hinata asked. Yes, Renaud said. The resurrection of the storm dragon Veldora has had less of an impact than expected, and the only casualties were the deployed military forces of Farmers. The real question is whether the rumor of the new Demon Lord, Rimuru, being a true dragon is true or not. If that is the case, why don't we ask Archbishop Rahim, who survived the onslaught of Veldora's rampage? We know he was held in Tempest as a prisoner, but he was released by Demon Lord Rimuru. I'm curious about what he can tell us about the new Demon Lord, Ser suggested. I thought so, too. I have already contacted him, so he should be here any moment from now, Hinata explained. I can't wait to hear what he has to say, Fritz said. Maybe he can tell us if the rumor about Demon Lord Rimuru's ascension to a true dragon is true, Glenda added. Hinata saw no reason to keep Luminous warning a secret. True. I can tell you now that among the missives I received from our Lord Luminous, there was one command we must not break under any circumstances. Which is? We must never lay a hand on the new Demon Lord Rimuru, under any circumstances. Please bear that in mind, Hinata told them. What? Everyone shouted. I will be blunt, Hinata said. In this instance, we must remain low profile. None of our dealings with this Demon Lord must become public. This was her way of telling all the knights to keep their hands off Rimuru, which deeply surprised them. Are you saying we should ignore everything this new Demon Lord is doing? Ser asked her in anger. He is right. Even if the rumor of the new Demon Lord being a true dragon is true, if all of us gather together and challenge him, we can surely defeat him, Fritz claimed. The Demon Lords are untouchable as a rule, yes, but only in the public eye. If you recall, they are no match for the 10 great saints. And if all of us band together, not even a true dragon will stand a chance, Arnor added confidently. The others nodded in agreement. Once again, Hinata was reminded of the deep ignorance of her proud knights. It was true that the knights were strong enough to beat a regular Demon Lord, but compared to the real thing, the 10 great saints stood no chance in hell. Hinata, who had met and fought Luminous, could testify to this. Furthermore, Luminous, the incredibly powerful demon lord, was deeply worried about angering Rimuru now that he was a true dragon. This went to show how vast the power gap between a true dragon and an awakened demon lord actually was. The proud Luminous had admitted she would rather not mess with Rimuru under any circumstances. This made Hinata believe that picking a fight with Rimuru would be the most foolish thing they could ever do. She had her suspicions that Rimuru was the one who wiped out the entire Farmus army. And if he was able to do that before his awakening into a true demon lord and his ascension to a true dragon, then she didn't even want to imagine what kind of monster he was now. Against that kind of power, what did these proud knights have to offer? Moreover, from what Luminous had told her, it was merely one of his subordinates who had beaten the awakened demon lord Clayman. If demon lord Rimuru's subordinates were all at an awakened demon lord level alongside Rimuru, who was now a true dragon, then picking a fight with him was completely out of the question. Not to mention that demon lord Milim would not hesitate to wipe them out if they laid a hand on her beloved. You know, though, we have both this demon lord and the storm dragon Veldora to deal with. No matter how strong we are, we cannot take them both head-on, Rimuru pointed out. But we cannot allow this demon lord to do as he pleases in the domain of humans. Grigory shouted, shattering the brief silence. Hinata had heard enough. When the hall grew quiet and everyone looked toward her, she said, "The missives of Lord Luminous are absolute. We cannot defy them." What the hell? Are you telling us to just let Farmus be razed to the ground? Lightus asked. No, Lightus. The main problem in Farmus is the civil war. Its people, not its nobility, must be protected, Rimuru corrected. We're going to see some major changes in Farmus very soon. They never let us interfere in their business before, and I doubt they would let us interfere now, Hinata said with a smirk. So, we should just let Demon Lord Rimuru do as he pleases? Grigory asked. Yes, we should. Demon Lord Rimuru has declared his disinterest in hostility with the human race. If that is true, there is no further reason to be hostile toward him, Hinata told them. In truth, she was only saying this because she knew they would all be slaughtered if they challenged Rimuru to a fight. The difference in power was as clear as night and day, at least to her. Her proud knights would never understand this unless they met a true demon lord face to face. Besides, Archbishop Rahim of Farmus was part of the invasion team, and I myself have attempted to defeat Demon Lord Rimuru. Both of us failed. And now that he likely views us as his enemies, I'm not sure there is any other choice but to keep quiet, Hinata reasoned. But those are the mistakes of the Western Holy Church and of yourself. It is not a mistake of Lubelius. Grigory insisted. Exactly. And that is why you need to stay hands off. If worse comes to worst, I will take full blame for everything that happened, Hinata said with a powerful, commanding voice. My lady, you can't. No. I won't accept this. The paladins voiced their objections, while Hinata calmly addressed the Master Rooks. Calm down. I don't think Demon Lord Rimuru wants to wage war with us either, Hinata told them. You trust him that much? Ser asked. Yeah, I do. This may sound unlikely coming from someone who tried to kill him, but I trust him. He told me himself that he is an otherworlder. I ignored it at the time, but it seems he was trying to avoid a conflict with me, Hinata admitted. An otherworlder? Truly? Arnor exclaimed. Yes. From what he said, he died in his previous world and was reincarnated as a slime, Hinata explained. The knights could not believe what they were hearing. This new Demon Lord Rimuru was starting to sound more interesting by the minute. That's all well and good, but what if Demon Lord Rimuru still sees you as his enemy? Ser asked. Yeah. You did try to kill the guy. Now that he has gotten a bunch more power, maybe he might try to get back at you. I wouldn't blame him, Fritz noted. I told you, I will take all the blame. I might even go there and apologize if need be, Hinata said casually. You do know that is incredibly reckless, right? Renard asked her. Well, it is not something I would do right away. I first need to understand Demon Lord Rimuru's mindset once Archbishop Rahim arrives. The meeting continued in this manner until a firm knock was heard on the conference room door. Come in.